Hello and welcome to my show Conversation with Priya. I'm your host Priya Mishra. Today is my guest Avon Collins. Avon Collins is a very great business leader, I would suggest, because he has been helping people for the lot of businesses I have known, and we have been always hearing a good words about him. He's a very good friend of mine. He helps business owners get their lives back to using system and software after serving more than 40 hours per month by integrated automation software solution into his own business. He had experienced firsthand that there was a better way, and he made sure to pass his knowledge on by starting Relevate. And not only that, he also helps businesses with the repair solution by the hosting. His slogan is Life, Raise and Lighten. So let's welcome him, and I would like you to help me today to welcome Avon Collins. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me and welcome to my show Conversation with Priya. I would like to start with your journey today. Like, I know it's a very generic question, but I would like you to tell us and my audience how your whole entrepreneurial journey started.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Avon, and I now run a business, or a couple of businesses. One is marketing automation and CRM, and then another is like a web hosting site, and they're quite both complementary. It has been quite a long journey. I started off, I did 7 years in the army, got out, bought a business, ran that for a little while, ran a couple of sporting organizations, then found a need in the marketplace where people just didn't understand some of the technology stuff or needed some help. Wanted to maybe automate some stuff. So then I started off as a hobby, grew it from there. Had a business partner, that one didn't work. Had another business partner, that one didn't work. Signed up with my current one and or two others. One quit, decided it didn't work, and now I've got my current one, and we're a really good team. And I've found him after it was about 7 years after leaving the army. We'd actually been in the same regiment together,
Right.
and we had complementary services, and to this point today, that's where we're at. So it's been a whirlwind.
Wow. So it's out of context question, but your army experience, does it help you to be more disciplined and stay focused?
I think in the military, you go through certain hardships, and I think that you develop a bit of a thick skin, you drive a bit of drive and determination, and be it lack of sleep, lack of food, you're cold and wet, and hungry, and I think that gives you some perspective. So when things get tough in business, you push through it, you make some sacrifices, you work hard. So yeah, I think it really does give you a good I think from a personal basis in your ability to handle running a business.
Yeah. And I mean, if you remember earlier, we were discussing in a couple of days ago, and we were talking about that, how it is important to have that resilience, that perseverance in you to follow any such journey. And in that, if you don't, if weather is not a problem, like, people say, oh, but this, but that, the but is never ending for a lot of people and a lot of business owners. And I always call it's a weather crisis. It's a weather problem. I mean, there will be always too cold, too hot, too, something too much is there.
Yeah.
Once you overcome that, does that help people in anybody in the entrepreneur to actually stay focused and tap into the market where they want to head to? In nutshell, your end goal and main goal is more prominent, and you are more focused in that journey.
Well, yeah, that you just sort of capped it off at the end there with the end goal is like, you've got a mission. Yeah, there's some barriers, there's some difficulties, but you can only do whatever planning you can. That's only 80% of a solution is good enough. You don't want to was it 100% solution after the fact is too late. So if your information is not going to be perfect, your planning is not going to be perfect, you're probably going to have a few iterations or things that are going to fail early on.
Yeah.
So what? That's part of it. Just suck it up, get past it, and achieve your end result.
And that helps you, how you gonna actually create the different milestone, and even if the detour comes, you are still okay to go with that, isn't it?
Yeah, so like I guess what you're saying is breaking down the goal into manageable chunks.
Yes.
So like I know that I want to be an ASX listed global company, but that's
Yeah.
not going to happen tomorrow. I know I need to build a bit of a team. I know I need to get a few clients of a certain size, and so I'll look at like, all right, now I want to break through this barrier of X amount of revenue per month, or now I want to break through the barrier of this many team, or now I want to like just have a lot of little like wins. And if they are all contributing to the end goal, then each of those little steps. So like a campaign, the definition of a campaign is a series of goals and actions that work up to an ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely want to break it down and make them achievable.
Right. Yeah. And that brings to my next question, is where you talk about automation a lot, right? And in your consulting, you have been helping a lot of businesses from all sorts of automation, in how adaptable people are for that kind of a motivational, step to take, because a lot of people are still thinking, oh, it's if I will automate, I'll lose the control. A lot of people are actually worried about losing the control aspect. But how do you convince them on that level in automation, and
Well, I think most people are doing some level of automation already, and they probably don't even realize it. Like if you've got an email template, if you've got, let's just say you've written something else out to a client that you've done 10 times before, and you've just saved it somewhere where you can grab again. That's a level of automation. It's not like complete, this chain of events. But, I think people think of automation as, I'm buying a robot, or I'm getting some big machine to replace my whole job. It's not. It's a whole lot of little processes that add up to a lot of big processes, particularly if it's repetitive. It is a prime target for automation. So, one of the most simple things that we both use and talk about is a text expansion tool. It's a thing. It's called TextBlaze. It's a free Chrome plugin. Basically, I have all these little snippets. I put my ABN. I put my LinkedIn URL. I put up websites or phone numbers. Things that I need access to regularly. I put it in a little thing that I can just quickly grab. And it's those little productivity tools. If you think about Kaizen or the continuous improvement methodology, is that 1% improvement per day adds up exponentially, growing over the course of a year. Like that is a massive improvement. That's what automation is all about.
Yeah. And I think that brings to my the next question. You mentioned the productivity. The productivity is something actually gonna help you to actually achieve your goal, because a lot of time people don't understand that, oh, only 1 minute there and only 1 minute there. Oh, I'll do it manually. Oh, I can handle it. But they don't realize every 1 minute productivity does matter when you have thousands of works to do. It's like a accumulative effect.
Well, not only that, like having a system that's automated allows you to then put other people in to do that work. Simple thing like every time I do a task that I think someone else is going to do, I'll record it. And then someone else can go and watch that video and then learn how to do it. I think that if you don't start small, you'll never get big. So those small things definitely do add up. And, I think investing the time early on in making those little tools, those little shortcuts, those little tricks, then go to very big things. And so, it is quicker just to do the task the first time. Absolutely. But that doesn't, if you need to do it 100 times, even if it's 25% faster, you've only got to do that task 4 times to gain back that time that it took you to actually create the process. So then when you get to the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 800th time that you're doing it, it's now so much more effective, and that frees you up for a day, a month, a year. 1 month a year, things like that. So 2 minutes per employee in a 50-minute company is 1 employee per year.
Right. Wow. And a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the CRM stats, and if you remember, a lot of people are adopting towards CRM. So it's in itself is a automation, right?
Yes.
Itself is a product, productivity tool, I would call it, right?
Mm.
And if you add, but majority of people sign up for the CRM and they pay the bill year after year, but they
Mm.
don't use it fully, right?
Mm.
And having people like you as a team member or a support system, I think it is gonna change a lot of businesses in in a very short amount of time what they want to achieve, rather than they keep struggling on that sense. How are you finding that reaction of the crowd wants to move towards CRM, but how you are finding that them to be converting towards using it?
It's definitely a trend. It's a word that's been thrown around, and now all these softwares that weren't CRMs are adding that as their little selling point, purely because now they store a phone number, an email, and a name. But that's not really what a CRM is about. And I think that people tend to miss the point. And you can't make it an island. Like, it's not this thing that you, like a giant Rolodex that just
Yeah.
stores some contact info.
Mm.
It needs to be like the command center of what you do and how you do everything, how you share information in your organization. And the moment you put it, like, have all the information flowing into it, that's when, all right, well, we've got to now handle, where we did one task, now we've got to do 10 tasks that are exactly the same. So now I can run an automation job and go click, click on all 10, and then do 5 steps for all of them simultaneously within a few milliseconds, instead of going, spending 3 minutes on each record. So that exponentially saves that amount of time. So in terms of getting it into a business and using it, they need a goal. We talked about goals before. They need the vision. They need to understand what it's going to do for them. And one of the massive parts, with 8,000 plus products on the market, choose the right thing for your business. Don't listen to the salesperson of the platform, because their only motivator is their sales KPIs. So they're going for commissions, not for your actual benefit on your own business.
Yeah. And in that sense, if I remember correctly, your consultancy also being the clarity of the people, which one will be the best suitable option for you, isn't it?
Yeah, so we generally, what we prefer to do is, quite often we're helping people that have already got one. But where we can select a new one, we'll do an analysis and we'll look at what capabilities does the business need. And it's more about where they are in the market, what their business is, what their unique selling proposition is, as opposed to their competition. Because if you've got 100 businesses in the same software, there's no competitive advantage. Everyone's doing the same thing the same way.
Right.
If you can have something that's that you operate differently, say, like, let's say you have some add-on service that is transformational over and above every other operator, you're going to get all the customers, because that's where the value is. So that's where we focus. Yeah.
And that brings, you just mentioned the capability, right? So capability in, I notice capability analysis is a very important part of your business that helps you, the people who are into participating into your business and in your vision. Like, majority of people don't consider their team as a, their partners. And I believe they are like my partners, they are my army. And without them, I'm nothing, and they are my asset. So I believe if we will know right person sitting on the right seat, and if we know what is my capability and what is my serviceability based on that, that's gonna actually help you grow your business, exponentially. And what do you think, how it is gonna help into more of a sustainable business model rather than actually surviving mode? Majority of people I have met, if they are small businesses, they are actually in a surviving mode. It's a hard truth.
I think a lot of businesses think of it in terms of, like, leads are this thing that I get and then I make money, and then that's it. That's all the business is. When really it's this interplay between customers, suppliers, partners, team members, and those relationships. So CRM is your relationship engine, should not just be about customers. I've got a way that I keep certain stakeholders updated, because their key referrers into, certain things like new customers, new groups, new, understanding advanced warning on new legislation changes and those sorts of things. So you get to have influence in the marketplace. You get to be seen as this beacon of value for everybody. And then you almost don't have to market. You almost don't have to build anything else other than just great relationships with everyone around you in context. And that's the kicker.
Right.
So talking to people the way they expect to be engaged with. And I think where people, you say your team is definitely your very much a part of that's your asset. But I think a lot of times people, in terms of customers, treat them as just this cattle that come through, spend their money and off they go, when really they're your partners as well. They're going to tell you what sucks. And if someone tells you, I didn't like this experience, you work on fixing that. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
And a majority of people don't realize the customer experience is nothing to do with the only customer side. It's also your other stakeholders, including your employee, does make a lot of difference. I remember a story of Mercedes, and if you don't have a experience of driving the Mercedes, you are not gonna sell it passionately, right? So unless you give that a right experience and what it's like to be your customer, right, and what it's like to be part of your life, in professional life or a personal life, how I'm gonna expect them to be equally passionate about me or my product to sell or support emotionally, right?
Particularly in a services environment, because like with a product, a car, I can jump in a car, but in a service, I can't jump into a service. Like I've either consume it or I don't. So you really need those other people's opinions and those other people's shared experiences of how they felt and what the impact was on them.
And I always ask this question to all of my stakeholders: are you working here or working with me or working with me or for me, whatever you call it? You're working it for money, or you are working for the experience or the passion? Because I always believe there will be someone better paying you always, isn't it?
I mean, quite often, if you want to do a good job for a good job's sake, that's more important, I think, than getting the, you don't want to be the most expensive or the cheapest or the just the loudest. Just be good at what you do, and that will be one of the most strongest attractors of anyone else around you.
And we always discuss about this in our Connect collaborative group. Also, we have been actually hearing a lot. People don't buy services; people buy the value you offer.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. And they buy, from people they know, like, and trust.
And that happens only when you actually showcase it.
Correct. Trust by proxy, I think, is the comment that's always commonly shared.
Yes, very interesting concept, but not many people actually understand it thoroughly and implement it. But what my experience with you, Avon, is that you have actually not only understood it, actually you have given the same experience. And with me being your customer also, it's been a very good, interesting journey with you. That brings to my next and in nearly the last question. I would suggest that if you want to help businesses to grow, actually create a sustainable business model, what will be your 2 cents for them to actually work on those lines?
You said before that your team is really, really important, and I think that small business owners, particularly, like if you're an individual, you can't do it on your own. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of other people. So listen, you don't know it all. No one does. Help your team to know what you know. You can't be this gatekeeper of knowledge. So, make sure you make it really easy and help people win. Not only your customer, which is your sole job, but help your team win, help your friends win. All of these, everyone's got to get value in some way. And, if you get value from seeing other people successful, that's going to be a really strong sign that you're going to want to drive to continue to make other people see value and be successful. So that's going to help you become, by proxy, successful.
And in your experience, that when you think about growth, people like numbers. There are a lot of number people.
Yeah.
What percentage the model we have been implementing together? I mean, you have been doing it a lot for a lot of other businesses. What percentage of people would like to see where they wanna hit, and what is the achievements they have been achieving through your journey you have been given to them through your automation or CRM, whatever experience you have been giving to your customers?
So I like to think in larger numbers and not just necessarily myself, but like the stats on being any kind of like CRM or digital transformation investment. Businesses that are digitally optimized grow 5 times faster than those that aren't. And I think that that's not just, my customers, that's, across any form of digital transformation in a business is absolutely critical. And if people aren't focusing and prioritizing that, very quickly, we're already in the age of, in the 4th industrial age of automation, where we had the computer age, that was the 3rd. I think we're moving into the 5th, which is the robotics age. And, you really need to consider digital, and you really need to consider automation, because there's just not going to be a carbon copy paper book in the future. So the stats and the numbers behind investing in this stuff are empirical. There are hundreds and thousands of statistics that say this needs to happen, and people need to be, shaken awake to realize that this is an inevitable change. COVID absolutely made that front and center. So make some change.
And that was a trendsetter as well, I believe. It gives a really good thought to a lot of people to actually wake up. It was a kind of a wake-up call, and it is also very much shows how important it is to digitalize, automate, so you can not only just survive, you can sustain and actually grow.
Well, I just got off the phone with a client who had a very large website with about over 50,000 web pages, and they've got 3,000 to 5,000 visitors per day. And since migrating to good quality servers, their loading speed is less than half, which that's a good number, because your website loads much faster, which then means that your customers don't bounce. They stay on the site longer. They'll buy more stuff. And this has been an absolutely phenomenal change for this person. So the stats are there. They've doubled their value to the customer, because they load, or the website loads in half the time, and that's every page. So from 4 seconds up to 6 seconds, down to about less than 2. So
wow. And that comes through the customer experience I always talk about. The better customer experience you are offering, the more people are going to talk about it, and you will be able to create evangelists through that, until then, because there are a lot of people are claiming to be best customer service, but I'm thinking about, you can't have the customer service without giving the best customer experience. I mean, don't trade on customer. Everybody is giving customer service. I'm talking about what experience you are offering, and people pay for 5-star food for experience.
There's a stat on that as well, is 86% of people will pay more for a better customer experience, but only 1% of people actually report having great and consistent customer experiences from a business.
Right. And look at that. Companies are even started talking about overall business experience. If the company larger big players in the market, they're already talking about giving best business experience rather than customer experience. So I have noticed that not many people understand the difference between, business experience and customer experience. But business experience, that wherever you go in, no matter which vertical or horizontal, places you go in a particular business, the experience is same. The outcome is nearly the same. Whereas customer experience is actually based on the segment wise, the product and the service, each product and service individually treated
Yeah.
and individually given the experience for that one. Doesn't mean that you are gonna give, whether you are talking to the lowest point of the contact or the highest point of the contact, you will not get the experience same.
Yeah, I think they call it now. This the latest buzzword for that is BX or brand
Yeah,
experience.
brand
Yeah.
experience or business experience, you call it. So that's very much important in the business model. And I am sure when you already started implementing in your business.
Yes. Yep. Taking feedback all the time and trying to make it better.
Right. And how you gonna actually give that people to start thinking towards that, how you can invoke them to be more futuristic approach, taking more futuristic approach, being more proactive, how you actually, I would say, be provocative towards that.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do lots of little videos, like YouTube videos, just to show little tips and tricks, little productivity hacks. If people start early, they get acquisitive, they trial different things, they start to learn all of the underlying sort of skills. Like
Yeah.
what's a merge field, what's a keyboard shortcut, how best to lay out a template, those sorts of things. And then, what's a workflow, if this, then that, how do we do the filtering of the records so that only the right action or whatever triggers the right workflow.
Yeah.
Those sorts of, like, you got to think a bit like a computer. So if people are doing that, then they're going to be on the right path, and then it's just improves. I mean, we've got like online courses and things, but there's a mountain of knowledge to gain and to grow. So working on it all the time.
Great. So before we go, I would like you to say how people can contact you. What is the best way to reach out to you? Would you like to share with them?
Yeah, sure. So I guess for me personally, if you want to learn more about me, go to relevate.com.au/Avon Collis, AVONCOLLIS, no space. And that's a little bit of a bio about me. There's links to a whole bunch of other things. And if anyone wants to book a chat, they can do that there. But other than that, that's my contact. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. And all the details and every single links will be given on the description below. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you for joining in. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.